Good morning. There has been a significant update to Mike the Macro Maker. So if you are already an owner of a Mike, I should have sent you an email, and if you haven't received one, reach out to me, please, about getting your Mike upgraded. If you do not own a Mike and would like to get one, please send me an email beforehand, so I can, if you want it pre-programmed for you, please send me an email beforehand. Otherwise, please do not send me instructions for what you want every macro to do crammed into like the notes field on the money you're sending over, the purchase you're sending over. That's not a great way to do that. So please initiate with an email. Usually there's a little bit more discovery I like to do before selling a pre-programmed Mike. Got it? Good. Just email my website. You're fine. Let's see. Oh yeah, there have been significant improvements to Mike's mouse reliability, mouse movement, and the issues with the mouse movement was mostly related to the operating system. Some computers, some versions of some operating systems were just like, that's too much mouse movement, we're just going to ignore some of that. Which is super convenient in that it is not convenient at all. It's the opposite of super convenient. It's actually inconvenient. It's non-convenient. This is... I don't know what's going on right now. I might still be a little tired. But do email me if you want a pre-programmed Mike. Right. So, yeah, the Mike programming requires, at this point, at least with this version, requires the Arduino IDE to be set up, which is pretty easy. I actually should probably wipe out a system and then get Arduino installed from the beginning, because I think there's some libraries, some AVR libraries that have to be installed. I'm not gonna lie, there's also some weirdness with how some of these Pro Micro clones come up, and my plan is to upgrade to change and port the code over to a Pico, Raspberry Pi Pico system. The Pico system. And originally, if you know the dimensions, you might say, well, that doesn't fit. And I was like, there's not a lot going on down south of the crystal. Can we just grab some end cutters and just chop it off right there? And the answer is yes. Someone has already done that. They've performed the chop just south of the crystal, and works fine. I do need to make sure some of the so the pins line up. However, I know the Raspberry Pi Pico's pin out. The pins line up, but it occurred to me later that the Raspberry Pi Pico's I/O distribution is still different, because they've got, it's like interspersed with ground connectors, so it's not going to be very straightforward, but I will be able to adapt the boards. Yeah. That also means that I'll be able to use we're not going? Okay. That also means we won't be able to use, or we will be able to use alternative connectors. Currently, the plan is to use some type of header pins for swapping out USB connectors, because that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be just fine. Because those header pins are... It's a little complicated to figure out how to get everything attached, but yeah, it should be okay. If you want to get something that has a a USB Type-C on it, that will be doable. Yes. The question is just, how do I want to do it? There's also some RP2040 with Type-Cs on them, little breakout boards, and enough I/O for what I need. But yeah, I really do like the new version because it's much more. I don't want to say immediate, but it's much more. It feels neater. Everything's just, it's more responsive because it jumps right into hotkey mode immediately. You just plug it in. But if you want to edit anything, you just have to hold down button 4 while you're plugging it in. Then it'll boot into the menu mode. And then you can make changes and test things and then bail out into the regular mode, or the hotkey mode. But saving your changes first, of course. So the plan is to get an additional button on there so that you can easily bail out of that hotkey mode. I'm sorry, yeah, escape the hotkey mode. Right, because right now you kind of can't, and I've tried doing a different button combination thing, but that actually breaks a few other things, and I'm not too interested in it. An additional button would be just fine. Not a reset button, but like a bailout button. Even if I want to put it as like a little recessed button or like a paperclip button, that'd be just fine. But yes, I have been putting Mike in this new version through its paces, and it's been doing quite well. There's a couple things still need to be rewritten, but I have still added functionality to, it's not exactly where I want it to be, which I guess with good software, there's always room for improvement. But that's also, my improvements come from me using it and going, this is annoying, or I wish it would do this. Yeah, there's still the limitation. That's the other thing, is the limitation of the Pro Micro's memory, because I'm pretty maxed out on it. That's interesting. I really thought about that. As it stands, that is interesting. As it stands, the memory allocated is limited by the the large matrix of bytes used for indicating the instructions, macro instructions, and arguments to pass to those instructions. And all of that data is technically stored on in the EEPROM. That's where any of the saving takes place, and any writing to it takes place on the EEPROM. But the question is, does reading the EEPROM cost anything? Because when you push the button, it reads the EEPROM. No, when it loads, it reads the EEPROM. You push the button, and all that, the entire matrix of all 6 of the macros are loaded into RAM. I don't think there's a problem with having a placeholder macro and having that spot in memory in RAM just switch out. There's technically nothing wrong with running it directly. It doesn't even have to be in the RAM. I'll have to look into that. Because it loads it from EEPROM into RAM for operations. Why can't it just read it directly from the EEPROM? I mean, if we set a pointer to it and just kick it off, does it do that? Because I don't think you're allowed to access it directly. Well, it's called RAM for a reason. But we're not really accessing it randomly, so I'm gonna have to think about that. Because I could probably, triple or quadruple the amount of instructions. Yeah. If I hot loaded each macro each time. Interesting.